nation is going through some stuff. You know, a lot of black folks are up in arms about what we're experiencing in this nation from a political perspective, because this isn't right or that isn't right, and all this stuff. But we have to take a breath, a deep breath, and recognize that this stuff really isn't about us. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Just to be able to take a step back and look at it, and just as if it was like a film or a movie before our eyes, and determine what we can learn from it. Because we have to realize, as black people, that we've been in this nation a long time, and we've experienced situations a lot worse than anything that can be happening in modern day, including what might be happening today. It might be bugging us, might be irritating us, but it's got really nothing to do with us, and it's not really that bad considering what we have weathered through all the years that we've been in this nation, since 1621, okay? But we can take notes, and we can learn, and we can improve ourselves, okay? I think Obama becoming president, it was what kind of spoiled us. You know, we're thinking we're really a part of this thing, okay? Now look, when Obama was president, we were a part of this thing. And we have to be, and that was for 8 years. As many of you know, I went from a high school diploma to an MBA in the time Obama was in office, okay? I was inspired. I didn't wait around. 2009, I started school at the same time he actually took office, okay? Because I saw something. And personally, it's kind of funny, but I felt like, man, there's something magical in the air. There's a black man as president, that's something that just couldn't be. So if there's some pixie dust, if there's some magic in the air, I'm going to step in it. Okay, what can I do that I haven't done yet? Go to school. And that's what I did, and it worked, okay? Now he's not in office, and I still have that MBA. Okay? But we got spoiled, really thinking this process isn't about us. And it's becoming more and more about us. Look, now we have a black vice president, Kamala Harris. At the filming of this particular program, they haven't, been acknowledged yet. Okay, but we know. So, but I want to share as the bulk of black people in this nation, we need to learn something from this, because we're really not affected. Even Obama, as great and wonderful as he was, as far as I was concerned, not from a political perspective, but simply as a black man that became president, which inspired me to do more. Was that one man really isn't going to affect the masses of black people, okay? And so we have this Vice President, Kamala Harris, wonderful feeling as it may be, whether she'd be a Democrat or a Republican, for us just the fact that a black woman is Vice President is inspiring as well, just like Obama was inspiring. But we need to recognize those are just two people out of the vast amounts of black people in this nation. And so, see, Obama was successful before he was president. He was positive. He had a mindset. He had goals, and he was making them happen. Come on, graduate from Harvard. He was a Harvard law professor, a Harvard-educated attorney. He was a senator in Illinois. All this before he was president of the United States, community organizer before he was president. Kamala Harris as well, she was an attorney. She graduated from an HBCU. She was a prosecutor in California. I mean, she was moving, up. She was making moves on the successful ladder. I know a lot of black people have issues with Kamala, but that's not the point. The point is she was focused and she was successful, okay? So this, her stepping in to become vice president, was just not happenstance. She was a woman walking down the street, and somebody picked her off the street and said, I want you to be vice president. She was making right decisions from early on in her life. Obama was making right decisions in life, and this is what we need to take from this. We are not really a part of this political system. Okay, you see this fight that's going on? Look, these are between white folks, okay? I know we all scattered all up in there between white folks. What can we learn from this? First, understand that we're not personally affected, and that we have survived a lot worse. Black folks have survived Republican administrations, Democrat administrations, heavy-handed police throughout the years, and we're still here, okay? So with that, it's almost like a scientific reality. This political fray at the moment does not affect us. We need to be looking at it, observing it, and learning what we can from it, okay? And what we've learned from this particular, the 2020 election, is how powerful the black vote is. Now, whether the black vote is condensed and pointed toward Republican or Democrat, that's not the issue. This isn't political. But the reality is, black people have a strength that black people didn't imagine, couldn't imagine. Now we're looking in Georgia, which seems to be a key state, a key battle even for the presidency. They're kind of balanced there. And it never was balanced before. But see, black folks weren't voting. Black folks weren't voting because they didn't believe their vote mattered. Come on, look, it's Georgia. Come on, down south. The cradle of I don't know what you call it, the cradle of the South. I don't know what you call it. But come on, we see in the movies, we know people. Come on, black folks have been marginalized. Even as the Voting Rights Act and all this stuff, they had the Ku Klux Klan, they had black people afraid, and those that stood up to vote, many of them were killed. So really, there was no reason. Yeah, I never liked going to Georgia. I never liked going down south, really. I was born in Los Angeles. Lived in Europe for like 5 years, Maine, Kansas. My father was stationed in Ohio. I went in the military, went to Europe. Went to Asia and all. But I never liked down south. Now when I got out of boot camp, I went to school, tech school in Biloxi, Mississippi, Keesler Air Force Base. That was the first, exposure I had to the South, and I didn't like it. I wasn't there long before I had to run in with this guy from Alabama, white guy from Alabama. I'm from Dayton, Ohio. So I realized early on that, that wasn't for me. But then there were times I'd go, my wife is from Georgia, there were times I'd fly to Atlanta, for, conferences or, meetings or this or that, or even to visit her family and all. And all the black folks in Atlanta seemed pretty happy. There was like a black Atlanta and there was a white Atlanta. And I was like, I couldn't live here. I couldn't be like this. I couldn't live in this environment. And what I get from the black folks is that you know where you can go and where you can't go. I can't live like that. And so if you know where you can go and you can't go, okay, as a black person, then in other words, as a black person in Georgia, you know your place, okay? And you know your place, the racism that exists in Georgia. And that right there, why is Georgia was always a red state. Why? Because these black folks weren't voting. Why should they? They knew their place. They knew these folks weren't going to change. They knew they weren't in power. They had convinced themselves that they couldn't make a difference. And now we look, when we see that they can make a difference, the state is turned blue. I mean, come on, why? Because there was a power that black folks always had, but they didn't know they had. And thanks, they can thank Stacey Abrams, I guess, for going out there and getting 800,000 people to register. Man, they messed with the wrong, she, there's a time for everything. And maybe it wasn't time for her to be what she thought she wanted to be, what she was running for, governor, I believe. But, because her place was here. But she registered over 800,000 people to vote. And that state was flipped, okay? So it was flipped because black folks voted. Black folks who didn't realize the power that they had. And that's what I'm suggesting today. I mean, that's what I was shared. When Obama became president, I was like, man, I'm older than he is. He had a Harvard education and I had a high school diploma. See? I didn't realize. That's as black people, we can't be people with this mentality, what they call the welfare mentality, which I call a welfare mentality, expressing that the only way I'm going to be well is if you give me something, okay? You're not going to get anything. We've seen this time and time again, all of our lives. You remember Roots with Chicken George, right? Wasn't that his name? When the master told him he had to save up a certain amount of money, the character that Lou Gossett played, $125, whatever it was, he could buy his freedom. And he saved the money, Fiddler, I think was his name. And he saved his money all his life. Now he's like 60 years old, finally got the money, goes to the master and says, I got the money. And then the master raised the price. Come on, man. It's always been that way. See, what you got right now, another thing that we can look at as we're looking at this movie that's playing before our eyes, is look at the reaction of white folks who feel like they've been slighted on either side. On the Republican side, they feel that they were cheated. On the Democratic side, they feel that they can't believe you haven't given up the presidency, haven't admitted that you didn't win, and handing over the reins like every other president has. So you have the white Democrats and you have the white Republicans. Both of them are aghast because of the unfairness that they believe they're experiencing. Unfairness, that's nothing new for black folks in this nation. Come on now. That's why it's not affecting us like it's affecting them. They're all, I can't believe he hasn't done this yet. I can't believe they're counting those votes. You know, all of them, they're offended. They can't believe it. They're angry. That's nothing compared to what we've experienced. This is what we've been experiencing all of our lives. You know, to be mistreated, to be mistreated by the police, the authorities, to be kangaroo courted into the justice system, into the prisons. Nobody believes us. To be accused of rape, to be accused of theft, of all these things, trumped up charges, go to prison. Nobody will listen. Get in that cell. Click. That's it. Now these guys are. See, we know this. Even, you know, a slight deviation. You know, when they're getting ready to bomb Saddam Hussein because of his weapons of mass destruction. Most black folks knew that Saddam Hussein had no weapons of mass destruction. Why? Because we know what it's like to be accused falsely. The whole time Saddam's saying, I don't have any. Yes, you do. You know, I don't have any. Yes, you do. The clock is ticking. I don't have any. 24 hours, 23 hours. I knew it, man. I remember just before we bombed Iraq. I was at Wright-Patterson on the base. My son was playing Little League Baseball. And I was sitting in a folding chair next to this white lady, whose son was also on my son's team. And she was the nicest lady, white lady, really nice. And we're just talking, because it's like 6 hours before we get ready to bomb Iraq, okay? And she knew that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction. And I knew he didn't. And we were arguing nicely. It didn't get heated or anything. And that was, you know, we just agreed to disagree, right? But see, and guess what? He never had them. Now the other folks are going to say, even today, well, he had them. You know, no, he didn't. But we know, black folks don't. See, we're not really in that. We weren't even in that with Saddam Hussein. These folks, you know, they used Colin Powell because he was a respectable man, gave him some bad intel. Yeah, they got him, yellow cake and rods and all that stuff, man. But black folks know. We know. So what I'm suggesting is that movie, this movie, and the movie we're talking about now that we're seeing playing before our very eyes right now, it's not about us, but we need to learn from it. We need to learn the power of black folks. You know, back in the day, in the late 60s and 70s, Stokely Carmichael, he coined the phrase black power. And we love the phrase black power. And we love saying it, black power, because it brought pride in our hearts and it brought fear in the hearts of others. But we really never got it. We never comprehended what that meant. We were just saying it. Too many things. We just embrace the image of it, the optics, and never really get the point. It wasn't about the words. It was about the meaning. There is black power. Black power in voting. There's black power in your money. That bus boycott that Martin Luther King Jr. spearheaded, that was all about money. Okay, sit in the back of the bus. Well, we're not going to ride the bus anymore. 1 year later, as they're going out of business because they were enjoying that black money, or they were sending them black people to the back, black people didn't realize they was going to the back. They didn't realize the power they had. Just like the vote in Georgia, not realize the power that they have. There is black power. There's black voting power. There's black financial power. There's black personal power. Man, for the past 76 days since August 27th, I've been demonstrating on YouTube. I said, okay, I'm going to spend 76 days. Every day I'm going to work out. Just 40 minutes cardio and try to eat kind of right and see what happens. Man, I lost 20 pounds. So every week or so, I'd post a picture after my workout, all sweaty, looking crazy and everything. This many more days left. This many more days left. I just finished it yesterday, November 10th. Just to date this filming of this program. And so what am I getting on the videos on YouTube, you know, on social media? Good job. Way to go. No, that wasn't the point. The point was to demonstrate black power. Now it's really to demonstrate all people's power, personal power, the power you have. But from a historical perspective up until present, well, up until this particular election, white folks always knew they got power. That's not been an issue. The black folks didn't realize they had power, so why try? And as a black folks, we're sitting around here, man, we are some of the strongest people on this planet. We're the first people on the planet. Strongest people on the planet. Look at us in sports. Look at us in music. Look at us in business. Once we get busy, look at us in the military, generals. Look at the Tuskegee Airmen, man. Look at us, the President of the United States and all the other political officers in between, CEOs of companies, all that stuff. We are great. There is black power, but we just haven't realized it. And so I'm just suggesting that we need, if we want to be well, we want to be successful, we really want to be in the process and not just used for optics. Come on, Kamala Harris. I mean, she's cool. I mean, but Biden chose her because he needed the black vote. He needed the female vote. Look, you got a twofer. She's an Indian too, or a threefer, right? So you got these Indians out there. You got all the little brown people and all the people that are non-white. They're all the little girls, especially. Not just the girls. Come on, man. I have a daughter. How many dads are there out there that are touched as well that have daughters? Come on. That was a smart move. I said that, around my wife and daughter. They looked at me like I was, they looked at me, kind of rough, because they didn't want to hear that. Oh man, this is and it is a great time for women because you got to use whatever you can to get to where you need to go. But the reality is they chose her because they needed her to attract particular demographics so they can get that vote. And it worked. And I'm not hating them. That's the way the game is played. I mean, you're on a soccer field. You don't put your weakest player, in front of that goal, right? You got to know what you're doing and place the people strategically. So no, that is why Biden chose Kamala Harris. Nothing against Kamala Harris. As a woman, as a black woman, as an Indian American woman, whatever you are, even as a black man or a Latino man or a white man, whatever you are, use your assets, develop your assets. See, Kamala, Indian American, black American, fine. But if she hadn't gone to college, she wouldn't have been there. If she hadn't graduated, gone to law school, she wouldn't have been there. If she hadn't gone and become a prosecutor, she wouldn't have been there. If she hadn't gone in the Senate, she wouldn't have been there. So the bottom line is yes, she was picked because she was a woman, because she had Indian descent, because she had black descent, and the demographics that needed to be attracted to Biden for their vote. But if she hadn't prepared herself all of her life to improve herself, to build herself up, she would have never been in a place to be chosen. So yeah, she was picked because she's a woman, she's black and Indian and all that stuff. But there are many black and Indian women out there that weren't just picked off the street. She had a talent. She had an ability. Why? Because she recognized who she was. She recognized the power that Kamala had even before she went to college. And it moved her, it motivated her into places of success, into places of prosperity, to the place where she is today. What I'm saying is she has a power, a black power that we all have, but too often it's not being realized. Mine wasn't realized to its fullest extent until Obama became president. I'm like, dang, I got a high school diploma. He's a Harvard graduate. Within 10 years, I had an MBA. Because at that point, I realized the black power that I had, that I had not been exercising, okay? And that's what I'm sharing with you today. Hold on. And what's so important, especially for black, like me, okay? I was 50 years old when I went to college, 60 years old when I graduated with that MBA. What can I do with that? Not much. I've written like 6 ebooks. I'm getting ready to write another one. And I feel real good about myself. I'm a different person. I see my worldview has changed, and I can impart that improvement into the lives of my children. I've been an example to the lives of my children on what black power is and the accomplishments that we can pursue and that we can bring to fruition. Come on, man. When I went to school at age 50, my daughter was 3 years old. My daughter was like 13. So from age 3 to age 13, all she saw was me in school. How can she not recognize how important school is? Simply by demonstrating. So in her, the black power that she sees that is within her is greater. See, I was a fan of the Black Panther Party. I was always a fan of Stokely Carmichael when I was a kid, so back in the day. All those brothers I was a fan of, Angela Davis and all that. So I was quoting black power. I had the afro, I had the shades, I had the fist that I would make in shop class that I would put in my back pocket. I mean, I embodied the look of black power. But I didn't get it. I enjoyed the mystique, but I didn't have the substance, okay? So as black parents today, we need to begin imparting into our children the substance. See, as black people, we're cool. We're always cool. Yeah, we got a cool walk, cool talk, cool this, cool that. We're always cool. But that's the optics. There is no power. There is no substance. If our cool is being utilized and demonstrated in a bar while we're smoking a joint, getting all deep, while we're fooling around with somebody that's not our wife or not our husband at all, while we're out and about, we're not raising our kids, while we're having many kids and we're not supporting our kids, or even as women, we're having all these kids who are not being supported, there's no black power. We're the ones, we're responsible for imparting this black power into our children, okay? That's all I'm saying. And to do that, there is a responsibility that we have to begin to adjust our lives, to begin to look at our lives critically and determine what it is that's preventing us from demonstrating black power in the lives of our children, okay? Breaking the law is no black power. Having a jail record is no black power. So being addicted to drugs and alcohol is no black power. Being out of shape, diabetes-ridden, heart ailments, high blood pressure, cholesterol, all those issues, those aren't black power. Black power is recognized. What I'm suggesting today as we begin to look at this movie clip, this video that's playing before our lives, begin to examine it carefully and recognize the players, what's going on, their strengths, their weaknesses, and where we can interject ourselves in the equation to begin to allow black power to begin to manifest. So black power isn't simply an individual, but it's a mindset of the masses of black people in this nation. And a lot of times people take issue with me because I have a lot of white friends, some of my best friends, for real. Because my focus is on black people like that. But what I'm suggesting is the history of black people in this nation allows me to go there, okay? It allows me to go there. Because we have been the oppressed. Black people were slaves. Black people were Jim Crowed. Black people have been victims of racism all the way up until today. And so I'm speaking to the hearts and the minds and the souls of black people to recognize the black power that resides within you. It's like DNA. It's like a genetic, a recessive gene that we have the ability to bring forth. We just have to realize it. We just have to realize those our foibles. We have to realize our weaknesses. And not allow our weaknesses to prevent black power from manifesting in our lives and in this nation. So things are going to work themselves out in the political realm that we've been watching. But when it's all over, don't simply be shouting and celebrating because this side won and that side won. Make sure you learn something from this, so that you might impart some wisdom. Not only embracing the wisdom for yourself and making something more of your life, but imparting that wisdom into your children. And so a lot of people are despaired as I'm closing here. A lot of people, when they see this stuff, they feel despair, they feel negativity, and it's terrible for our nation and all this stuff. Look. It's not a bad thing. Because this is allowing you to see what you need to see. It's like in battle, you know. If you notice, like in battle, especially in the days of the kings, they're on their horses, and the knights in the medieval, even today, you don't find the decision makers. I mean, the real decision makers on that battlefield in hand-to-hand combat or bullet-to-bullet combat or whatever. They're sitting up here observing. Because even in the battle, they believe it or not, military, before a war begins and before particular battles, they've already calculated the percentage of men, that their own troops, that are going to die and that are going to be wounded. I mean, they make statistical, educated guesses on how many men they're going to lose before they even go into battle, okay? But sometimes their numbers are wrong. So sometimes they fare better than they thought they were going to fare. Sometimes they fare a lot worse. But they're watching. So they're watching to see the strengths of their enemy. And they're watching to see their weaknesses. And then they base their next battle, their next, statistical, educated guess based on what they observed in the previous battle. And so I'm saying, so as we're watching this stuff unfold, look for the weaknesses. Look for the strengths. Look to see how your black power can benefit you in the next phase. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Because we're here. Your wellness, if your wellness relies on somebody giving you what you don't have, even what you think you're owed, you're going to be waiting another 400 years. Look, let me tell you, and I know this might be kind of controversial what I'm about to say, but I appreciate the white people that have been proclaiming Black Lives Matter, and the white people that have been marching, for Black Lives Matter and all, because Black lives do matter, But to me, they're really not helping. I mean, they're helping in one way, but in the real way, they're not helping. And because their hearts are right, and they're on the right page as far as what is right and what is wrong. But if somebody that has their right is begging to somebody else like them who has their right to go ahead and let me in the club, then once I'm allowed in the club, my rights are still not on the same level as theirs, because I'm only there because they begged to let me in. And anytime they want to change the rules, I'm out. That's why Malcolm X, when he started his new organization, and recognizing that white people were not of the devil and all, that white folks wanted to join his organization, he said, you can't join my organization, but you can donate your dollars to it. Because he recognized what I'm telling you here. If it's yours, you need to take it. If it's yours, you need to determine how you're going to appropriate it. You can't be asking someone else who has theirs to beg for you to have yours too, because it cheapens yours when you get it. It's not the same as theirs. So what I'm suggesting, I'm giving you away. I'm saying, look at what's happening. Recognize, look at the black people that have made it, like Obama, like Kamala, like so many others in our society. And find your place in that. Okay? That's what black power is. Black power is within you. Recessive. But it's going to be up to you to make it work. How's that? Well, I'll give you something to chew on. I do thank you for joining me and listening. And I want to invite you to listen again. You take care.